Hello, today Fiona Walsh and I, Vicky McGowan, will present to you our interview with a social care practitioner currently working in a rural setting in the west of Ireland.
We will look at the past experiences of the practitioner and her current role, making reference to relevant theory along the way. We will talk about the practitioner, her career development, threshold concepts, her current role, dual relationships, training, vicarious trauma, self-care, and then we will conclude. For the purpose of this presentation, we will be referring to the practitioner as Anne.
The practitioner we interviewed was a 45-year-old female with a Level 8 degree in social care practice, complete in DIT, and a Level 8 degree in counselling and psychotherapy studied in London, alongside various training programmes completed through her years in this sector. We will speak more about these later in our presentation. She has worked in the sector for over 20 years in various settings throughout the country. This experience developed her knowledge and skills to be in the position she is today. Anne studied applied social studies in DIT. Throughout her studies, she carried out placement in a high dependency unit in Ballymun, which she then got offered a job when she qualified. While working there, she went back to do her Level 8 in social studies in DIT. When she completed this, she began working with the HSE and Child Protection Services. She was then offered a job as a social care manager among a team of 8 social care workers. There was major splits in the team between qualified and unqualified staff, and some of the care provided was questionable.
Threshold concepts. Threshold concepts are certain concepts or certain learning experiences which resemble passing through a portal from which a new perspective opens up, allowing things formerly not perceived to come into view. Although Anne did not identify her experience as a social care manager among qualified and unqualified staff as a threshold concept, we were able to make the link from the account she gave us. She explained that before this she believed that all staff had the knowledge and skills to work effectively with the service users, but this was not the case. These service users were in long-term care with no future plans in place for them. She explained her knowledge from college taught her the importance of having an aftercare plan in place for long-term residents. This experience now means that she feels it should be a necessity for anyone working in this sector should at the very least be required to have a FETEC Level 5. Anne then managed a residential unit with 2 teenage girls, one with homeless parents and the other girl with a heroin addiction. This job was very hands-on, which gave her much opportunity for personal development. She had never dealt with drug addiction before. After 2 years, Anne moved to England to study counselling and psychotherapy.
After Anne returned from England, she applied for the job of project manager over a social housing project in an urban setting in the west of Ireland, where she is currently working today. The service responds to community-wide problems by providing services to people who have needs in relation to mental health, addiction, homelessness and social exclusion. Dual relationships or multiple relationships occur when professionals hold 2 or more roles at the same time, such as assuming more than one professional role or blending of professional and non-professional relationships. When asked about dual relationships, Anne explained it was never really an issue for her, as she mainly worked in Dublin where she knew very few people on a personal level. When she moved to the west of Ireland, she began running a Strengthening Families programme in the town which she lived, which presented her with the conflict of dual relationships. She was approached at her front door by one of the teenagers who was attending the programme. She was unsure how to deal with this at first, but she explained to the teenager that speaking to her outside of the programme could result in her losing her job. Anne did, however, advise her to contact the Family Resource Centre for support, or she could speak to her at the next meeting. Luckily, the teenager understood and left immediately. Anne partook in many training programmes throughout her years of employment, including Assist, Training, Children's First, Health and Safety, Trauma Training, Master Training in Strengthening Family, Rape and Crisis Training, Human Relations and Law, and Courtroom Skills.
Vicarious trauma. Vicarious trauma occurs when we are affected by the experiences and trauma stories of survivors of trauma. It is cumulative, grows with time, numbers of exposures, inevitable and normal, an occupational hazard but not a sign of weakness, and developmental changes over time through experiences. When we asked Anne about vicarious trauma, she informed us that she felt supervision is key in dealing with vicarious trauma and should be carried out by an external service alongside a line manager. She also raised the issue of her opinion that anyone in social care should attend counselling throughout college to ensure that they have properly dealt with their own personal issues before trying to help others with their issues. Anne believes self-care is a very important factor in working in the social care sector. Although caring for others is our job, Anne believed we needed to care for ourselves just as much. Anne found various ways of relieving stress and caring for herself, such as art, exercise, debriefing, being around positive people, reflection and mindfulness. Anne explained to us how recently she had issues in her personal life when she was making her upset and anxious. She told us that she booked time off work in order to deal with these personal issues so that they did not interfere with her work life.
To conclude, today we have presented our interview with the social care practitioner and applied the relevant theories to the practitioner's experience. We looked at threshold concepts, dual relationships, vicarious trauma. We also proved the importance of self-care in this area of work. Thank you for listening.